NamelessDubs does not claim to own any of the art shown in this video,
and encourages you to check out the original artist. Do you really remember me?
Yes.
Over a week has passed since my return, and while I was lamenting the lost opportunity to research Link's recovery, like a fool, I neglected to properly observe my own. I awoke this morning feeling much more like myself, painfully so. My coordination and appetite have returned, although I sometimes find it hard to distinguish hunger pains from anxiety. I find I must take everything in moderation, or else I am left sick or weak from the exertion. My early days here are a blur, but it is now my memories that plague me the most. Sleep had come so readily before, but now I am kept awake by terrors and questions and people who are long gone. I thought I had put loss behind me when I stepped forward to face Ganon. It is now clear how wrong I was. I find that keeping myself busy is the best method to dispel these feelings. I take frequent walks, tailed by Paya or Link of course, and imagine has what become of the places I knew. The walls of this village feel oppressive to me. How the villagers have lived cooped up here all these years is beyond me. It is becoming increasingly obvious that Link is avoiding talking to me about his memories or otherwise. Because of this, Paya is a blessing I had not anticipated. She was shy of me at first, but I am thankful to have someone close who understands the workings of this new Hyrule. She knows all sorts of things, about the merchants who come to the village, to the safe travel routes of Goron City, although she swears she's never left the settlement for herself. She tells me that there are images contained on this Chica slate. Cheeky, have you been hiding that from me? That Link recalls memories of. Impa made certain of that before returning his tunic. How amusing off-handed photographs could prove so useful. I'd cursed the slate's lack of function in the past, but now I could not be more grateful. What new features does it possess? What photographs does it contain? Link, if your memories are so few, why did you answer that you knew me? My question hangs over my head like an axe, begging for an answer. I wish that you would speak freely so that I could know, but your silence is what gives me hope that you remain my knight. Is it selfish to want to validate these feelings that weigh upon me? Our friends are long dead, but the memories I held in my heart all these years mean more to me than I can say. Do you treasure them as I do? I'm beginning to think that dulling my emotions as a divine entity was a far better option. So many questions, and now I fear I can no longer trust my own judgment. Nehru, I beg you, was mortality always so perplexing? It's almost as though he's afraid of me. I'm not a moblin, Paya. I'm hardly even a princess with Hyrule in this state.
Freeing you from Ganon and saving Hyrule has been his driving force. It's no wonder that now you're finally a reality. It's a little daunting to him. What's important is he did come for you. I think that says a lot, don't you?
Perhaps.
Princess, forgive my boldness, but if you want an answer, why don't you ask him yourself?
We had a conversation today. A real one, that is. The mundane formalities replaced with a person for once. I think Paya was right. He's wary of me. But I suppose I'm afraid to know him too. I must, in future, resist the urge to babble endlessly like a doe-eyed child. For all of my wittering, I didn't manage to say anything meaningful at all. Zelda, and you dare call yourself the heir to the throne. What would your father say? What does it have to say today?
It doesn't talk much. Only when it's important.
You two were made for each other then.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure about that. But I think I'll have to return it soon. My duty is done.
And those are your true feelings, sir? Link the Stoic?
You're safe, and the darkness is defeated. As far as the sword is concerned, my purpose is spent. How I feel about it is not a question. What about you?
Me?
I know what waking up does to you.
I feel a little less victorious than I thought I would. But I've made up my mind. What would my father say? It would be a lie to claim I didn't wish I had been given the chance to speak with his spirit. They tell me that the diplomatic relations with my kingdom are delicate, which is a polite way of saying little to non-existent. Somehow, the ruby remains as currency, and tenuous trade links exist between regions. But with no united leadership, it appears that citizens are merely surviving. Dorfin remains the Zora King, and Rito are quiet, and it seems the Gerudo now have a child as their chief. A drastic decision if I do say so myself. But what could force them to take such measures? I suppose I'll have to find out soon enough. If what Impa says is true, they will expect me to lead the moment I announce my return. I dare not confide it in her. She's done so much for Link and I already, but I haven't the slightest clue where to start such a monumental task. The thought of it fills me with apprehension. My whole life had been leading up to a single moment, a moment I have now faced and overcome. Now what? It is a strain on my mind to recall the lectures I was given on the endless topics one must study if they are to govern. Trade, foreign policy, economics, etiquette, elocution, war rooms, public speaking, all dwarfed by praying. Hours of it, weeks of it, years of my life wasted at the foot of a goddess I carried with me in my heart. In my sleep, I hear the echoes of spirits long gone, and I owe it to them to lead Hyrule into a new era of peace. But how? To rule, I require books, charts, knowledge that seem out of reach, rotting away in some dilapidated shack, I suppose. For all of my complaints, I have enjoyed my time here at Kakariko, mercifully spared with the expectations of regal virtue, so much so that I have taken for granted the luxury of whittling away my time with talking. But I've made up my mind. This must end. Father, what would a sovereign do? There's no sense in announcing my return if we are not certain of kingdom status. Ganon may be gone, but there's so much I don't know. These towers, the guardians. It would be unwise not to seek out a better understanding of them to ensure everyone's safety.
Word travels fast. You might not need an announcement.
Perhaps a time will come when my hand will be forced into the formalities. Before the immediate future, I believe it would be best to take the slate to Hateno village. Perhaps Fura can unlock more of its secrets. And if what the Sheikah say is true, that the village remains unharmed, they may have books to help me get better acquainted with this new world. I'll need to be armed with as much information as I can gather, Link. I dare say it is more important now than blades and reverence.
Then you'd better rest up. We should leave at dawn.
If my knight manages to rouse himself from his endless slumber, that is.
A little mercy. A man runs all across Hyrule to seal up the King of Evil, and you catch him with his eyes closed for 5 minutes and...
Then in the spirit of mercy and goodwill, I shall bid you good night.
Good night, Princess.